Hi everyone, my name is Rachel and welcome to the French Seams. Thanks very much for joining me in today's video. This is a very exciting collaboration with the very lovely and very talented Becky from Notes of a Sewing Room. So I followed Becky for a long time, both here on YouTube. She's got a wonderful vlog and also over on Instagram as well. I'll link both of those below. I would highly encourage you to check both those out if you don't already. She makes the most wonderful things for herself, for her home, for her two little children, and she also does a lot of upcycling projects. So you might know her as one half of the Sew Upcycle team, a wonderful Instagram challenge that she runs every year with the very lovely Karen from So Little Time. Again, I'll link all those details for you below if you're not aware of that wonderful challenge already. So we've been chatting back and forth over on Instagram as you do, and we were wondering would we do a little collaboration. So I was really excited about this idea. As I say, I followed Becky for a long time, love what she makes and just love her whole aesthetic. So I thought this was a really exciting idea. And because we both have two small children, we thought it'd be really fun to involve them as well. So I have two little boys, they are 3 and 6, and I love making them matching clothes, and I love making them and me matching clothes. And I know I only have a certain window of when that's going to be acceptable to them. So I thought it'd be really fun to do this challenge with them in collaboration with Becky as well and make some fun little clothes. So it's a little bit trickier for boys. From research, it's an awful lot easier to get adult and little girl patterns, but we've rounded on a pattern and I think it's really great. The pattern is, of course, heavily influenced by the very wonderful Tamlyn, who made the Xoe sweater a little while ago, and it was just fabulous. Her version was just gorgeous. And then she popped up showing that you can do it in a child version. So I thought, right, this is now perfect. So we're going to do a little collaboration. So myself and Becky and the 4 little children as well. So the pattern is the Xoe sweatshirt and it's by Petite Stitchery, a pattern company which I hadn't really heard of before, but they've got the most wonderful patterns, so I'll link their website below as well. I would encourage you to check it out. So the Xoe is a wonderful sweater. It's got a load of versions. So the adult version goes from extra small up to 4X. It comes in a variety of neckbands, a variety of cuffs. You can do different backs, a little peekaboo back or a plain back. It's got wonderful colour block detail on the front, a little V, and it comes in a variety of lengths. You can do a crop, a modest crop, and a top. And then the child version is exactly the same views, and the sizing there goes from size 2 up to I think a tween. I think it's about 17, which I think is a pretty good size range as well, but it's just the most adorable pattern. It's really cute. So we decided to do that, and I think we're going to colour block it. Well, I certainly am anyway. I'm really excited to see what Becky's going to come up with on her version, so hopefully I'll link her video on this as well. So will I show you what fabric I'd like to use? So if you watched my vlog recently, you'll know that I went to the Knitting and Stitching and I was very kindly gifted some fabric by a very lovely subscriber, so thank you very much. So, and it is this wonderful dinosaur, and if you watch my channel you know my boys love dinosaurs and I also love dinosaurs. I'm sure I could name every single one of these dinosaurs thanks to them. So it's a wonderful Christmas fabric given the time of the year. I thought it'd be really fun to use this. So they've all got little kind of Christmas bits and bobs. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a cotton jersey and there's a good amount of it here, so I thought this would be beautiful for the top of the colour blocks. That's a little V that goes across the top and the V that goes down the sleeves. I think it'd be really cute, and I have no problem wearing Christmas dinosaurs out and about. So to match with this, I went to the Crafty Studio. So she has a wonderful line in jerseys, and I picked out these which I think match really well. So the first is a cotton jersey that's going to be for the lower section, and I think it's called Pickle on the website. I'll link it below, but it's a beautiful weight jersey, and then there's also matching ribbing as well. So this will cover entirely for the wonderful pattern. I think these 3 of them match really well together. So I'm going to make us just the top version, not the crop version at all. I haven't quite decided on the neckband, the wide or the narrow, not quite sure. I'll have a look at that. I'm also just going to make the plain back, so peekaboo. Way too cold for that kind of carry on this time of the year, but I'm just really excited about getting started on this. I think it's going to be really cute, really festive. You know how much I love green. My little boys love green as well, and I think it's going to be really cute. So I'm going to go away and get started on this, and I will come back to you in 1 or 2 seconds, a couple of weeks for me, and hopefully I will show you the big reveal. And I'm back. How much fun is this sweatshirt? I absolutely love it. So if I pop up and give it a little look at it, here it is. Oh, this is so much fun. I absolutely love it. So this is my version. And then I also have a version for little French seams. And I have a version for littler French seams. And they look utterly adorable in them. So hopefully I'll pop in a picture of us all here. These are just so much fun. I loved making them. So as before, beautiful dinosaur fabric that I was very, very kindly gifted. Thank you very, very much. And then the contrast then is this lovely kind of khaki green cotton jersey and matching ribbing. And I got them both from the Crafty Studio, and I think they match really well. So I'll run you through the pattern. So it's a petite stitchery pattern. I've not made any of their patterns before, but I was really impressed. So the pattern is layered, which is great, which means you only have to print out whatever size you want, which is great. So for myself, I made a medium grading to a large according to my measurements. I didn't add anything to the sleeve length, I didn't add anything to the bodice length, and I think that worked out really well. I made the top length, so it comes in a crop, a modest crop, and a top. So I think if I had gone any shorter than the top, it would have been way too short. So this is the top, and that's exactly where I like my sweatshirts. It's literally just at my hip here. So I think anything shorter wouldn't have suited. I did the top version for the boys as well. What else? So the fabric requirements it gives you is pretty good, obviously, because it breaks down the ribbing, it breaks down the top fabric, and it breaks down the contrast fabric. So I found that very good. It also tells you what pages to print, which I always really appreciate, because I print out all my patterns at home on A4. I really hate when you print out so many pages and you end up not needing them. So because I just did the straight back, I didn't do the peekaboo back, and then there was the other lengths and stuff, it just tells you which pages to print, which is really great. I really like that feature. I think it's a really good value for the pattern. So I think it's now roughly about €10, but when I bought these, they were on sale. They were €4 each, which is brilliant. So keep an eye out if they do any sales in future. So I got these two patterns for €8, which is pretty good. So as I say, I made a medium to a large. For my boys, so my older boy is just turned 6. I made him an age 7, and my younger boy is going to be 4 in February, and I made him a size 4, and the sizing is really good. Because Christmas jumpers, they're going to wear them this year, obviously, and then they possibly won't wear them for another year. I'd love to get the kind of longevity, but we'll see how we go. But I think this year now that sizing is spot on. And again, I just made them the top length as well, and I just made them the straight back as well. So in the finished measurements, it gives the finished measurements. It just says it just gives the kind of measurement for the crop, the modest crop, and the top, and then it just gives the width. It doesn't really say what it's measuring. So I guessed it was the length, and the width is kind of across here, but it doesn't really tell you what it's measuring. So I didn't find that terribly useful, and I would have really appreciated that because of the nature of this pattern, because it's got the two blocks, like the top panel, the lower panel, and then the sleeve as well. It's a very dropped sleeve, so you can see that's a seam there. It's very difficult to measure pattern pieces against you. So say if you're making, for example, the Tilly and the Buttons Billy, you can basically hold up the front and you can hold up the sleeves, and it gives you kind of an idea of where it's going to go. But because this is in panels, it's very difficult to judge that. So proper kind of finished measurements, and usually they have a little model and it shows length is A and width is B and all that kind of good stuff, and especially the sleeves and stuff. I would have found that very useful, but they didn't have that. But I just made the straight size and it worked out fine. So all is well, but it would be useful to have the finished garment measurements. Then also, it does give you a cut chart for the cuffs, the neckband, and the hemband, which is useful if you, again, don't want to print out any of those pattern pieces. It gives you the length and width of those pattern pieces because they're basically just rectangles, which is good. However, I generally don't use them because you need to measure them out. If you have a quilting ruler, that's generally fine. But I usually forget. If I don't have an actual physical pattern piece, I usually forget to cut them. So I far prefer just printing out the entire pattern using them, but it's great to have them. Again, if you do want to save paper, I think that's really good. The instructions are very good. The trickiness comes, I suppose, like I've made an awful lot of sweaters, but this is an elevated sweater. So basically the front is in a panel at the top here, and it comes into a V here. The back is just straight across, it's slightly easier. And then the sleeve, because it's a drop sleeve, you have this kind of funny shaped sleeve, and then you have this V that slots in here. So the instructions for this are very good. The way it tells you to mark a little notch here and then kind of fold them in and then pivot and move them across. This bit here was actually not too bad to set in. The tricky one I thought was this one, because it's a very sharp V here. But the way I did that was I actually ran a basting stitch down in a line and then down a line here, which gave me a center point, and I put a pin in that, and then I put a pin in the lower version, and then I sewed from here to here. When I got to here, I knew exactly where I wanted to stop. I lifted my presser foot, kept the needle down, pivoted, and then pulled the other side to go back up the other side, and that seemed to work pretty well. because I basically was doing 6 in a row, I literally batch cut these and batch sewed them. So I did every section for each of the jumpers, which worked out really well. And then once you have the front and back and sleeves done, you're away. It's just like a normal sweater, putting it together. And again, there's no kind of set in sleeves. It just goes in very, very nicely. The one thing that is a little bit tricky is to match up this little bit here. So it's not really like quilting where you can kind of nest the seams because it's on an angle, but I did have to do a little bit of unpicking, but I think the line here, I think is pretty good, that it gives one, if I stretch out like this, it gives one kind of V across the top, which I think it's a really, really unique sweatshirt. I just love it. So slightly trickier than a normal sweatshirt. I was making 3, so it took a little bit of time, but I just love the result. I absolutely love it, and I'd love to make more of these. I really, really would. So I wasn't put off at all by the tricky nature of the little V. One thing it does ask you to do is top stitch. So in the instructions, it tells you to top stitch on the top fabric, but I found it nicer to press my seam allowances down. So I actually top stitched on the lower portion, which I think gives a very, very nice finish and does keep all the seam allowances nicely in place. I just used some matching thread there, but can I show you properly? So they have you press the seams up and top stitch on this kind of coloured bit here, but I prefer to press it down, but I think it gives a very, very nice finish, and it keeps everything sitting very nice and flat. And of course, a good press covers a multitude, doesn't it? So one thing I did find, it comes with 2 versions for the neckband, just the neckband, and then it calls it the wide neckband. So I just put on my version, and on the boys' versions actually, just the regular neckband, and I put mine on and I found it way too low, came down below my collarbone. I'll take a picture here. So had I tried it on beforehand? No. So I had to unpick all my overlocked edges, but never mind, I did it, and I cut out the wide neckband. The boys' ones aren't too bad, they're not too bad, so I didn't end up unpicking theirs. I think they look okay, but for mine was way too low for what I wanted, especially for a Christmas jumper. I was just feeling way too cold, so I recut the wide neckband, and I think it looks much, much nicer. So that was the only change I make, and I think in future, if I was making these, I'd actually cut the wide neckband for all of us. Speaking of neckbands, I did my binding of the neckline, so I have a video tutorial on how to do that, which I'll link below. So on my one, I've got one, and then also on the boys, so I love doing these. So this is older French seams. He gets cute as a button. So these are all Specky seamstress binding, which I love. If you watch my channel for any length of time, he has cute as a button. And then baby French seams has little ducks, which are utterly adorable. And then I have, it doesn't have to be perfect because obviously I had an awful lot of unpicking on mine, and I used mine as the base. So I tried the techniques and all these on mine because it was quite big, and then when I figured out how to do the points, I moved down to the smaller versions. So I'll pop in a picture here of all our neck bindings. And then I just did a little stitch then on the front just to hold down the seam allowance there as well, which I think makes it look really, really smart. The only other thing I did was that we all get little dinosaur labels. So I put them into the waistband, so we each have one. So there's 2 little ones, and of course I have one on mine as well. And I have the very, very lovely Mandy, Make It So. I have her to thank for these labels. She very, very kindly gifted me 3 of those little dinosaur labels at our recent sewing retreat. And as I was making 3 dinosaur jumpers, this was utterly perfect to use these little labels. So Mandy, thank you so, so, so much. And I know my boys are going to love these, and I love them. And they just match perfectly. It was written in the stars, wasn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. So they are my little versions, and I absolutely love them. I think they're the most gorgeous jumpers. Really, really different design, something different. I just love it. So thank you to Tamlyn again for highlighting this fabulous pattern. Thank you to Alison for this beautiful dinosaur fabric. I absolutely love it. That was terribly, terribly kind of you. And a massive thank you to Becky for doing this collaboration with me. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been wonderful to get to know her better. I can't wait to see her versions. I'm sure they're going to be absolutely beautiful, just like everything she does. I will link her reveal video down below because we're both releasing these at the same time, so I cannot wait to hop over and see how she got on with her versions. So be sure to give that a watch as well, and to like and subscribe and all that good stuff as well. So yes, massive thank you to Becky. I love doing these collaboration videos. It's really, really good fun with fellow YouTubers, fellow Instagrammers. It's just lovely. Our sewing community is the best. So I shall leave it there for now. Thank you very, very much for following along. I'm going to hop off now and wear my Christmas jumper. I absolutely love it. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all getting some time for some lovely, lovely sewing. If you have any questions then on this, please feel free to leave them in the comment box below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also please consider subscribing. And I will talk to you all again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.